Well, what's going on, everybody? Rob and Peter here with another video. This time, our Big Ten predictions and preview for the upcoming 2025 season. It's almost here, and we're going to break it all down for you. Our previews, our predictions, the contenders, the pretenders, Big Ten Player of the Year, Big Ten Quarterback of the Year. So strap up and buckle in. We got an awesome show for you tonight. Rob, we're going to start off with the contenders and the pretenders category from the Big Ten Conference. I've got my opinions on who is in the contender category and who's a pretender. But we'll start off with your opinion, man. Who's a contender for the conference championship, and then we'll circle back to the conference championship preview at the end of the video.
Man, for the contenders, dude, man. I don't think Penn State's going to win the national championship, but I do think they have a legit shot to win the Big Ten championship. They were there last year. They bring back pretty much everybody. They hired Jim Knowles as the defensive coordinator. Now, how that's going to play out, fitting in his new scheme, seeing how long it took to progress at Ohio State to see, the scheme in full force and, pretty efficient. Only time will tell. But I like the talent that they bring back. And also it's going to depend on how Drew Aller plays. How far is Drew Aller going to take this team? Are they going to be able to rely on him wholeheartedly if the run game's not going with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton? So, I want to see how far Drew Aller has progressed. Is he that, 5-star from Medina, Ohio, who just had all this hype coming in, and is he gonna live up to the hype, or is he the same guy who tried to do his best Patrick Mahomes impression threw across his body?
Yeah. Well, you and I have both been really high on Singleton and Allen throughout their tenures at Penn State. They both had 1,100 yards rushing last year, man. Obviously, like you mentioned, they both returned. The big thing, I think, for LR is that they brought in 3 very good transfer wide receivers, completely revamped the wide receiver room. And, of course, they lose Tyler Warren. They do lose Abdul Carter on the defensive side of things.
Penn State always has a tight end.
What's that?
I said Penn State always has a tight end.
They always do. They've never been without, whether it be Gesicki or Warren or others. They always replenish at that role. Now they got the wide receivers to give LR some weapons for the first time in his career at Penn State. I'm curious to see what they're going to do, man. They got a very favorable schedule, just hosting Oregon and traveling to Ohio State, and the rest of the Big Ten should be automatic wins for them. I think they're a serious contender for the Big Ten championship. Again, they played in it last year, fell just short of Oregon, and I have an inkling that they might be back in Indianapolis for a second consecutive season. Now, obviously, a lot of people are buying into them. Even the media are picking them as the conference favorite. I wouldn't quite go that far, but we'll see how things shake out for the Nittany Lions this year in 2025. Their opponent last year in Indianapolis last year was the Oregon Ducks. What category would you put them in with some attrition at the wide receiver position right before the season starts and a brand new quarterback in Dante Moore?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to go with pretender, dude. It's just they lost Dylan Gabriel. They lost, who is it, Jordan James?
Yeah,
they lost Trayshawn Holden. They lost Tez Johnson. And then you got to look at the key injuries. They lost, they lost 5-star Evan Stewart. He'll be out pretty much of the season. Jerian Dickey pretty much dismissed from the team, suspended indefinitely. Was going to be a key contributor. Now, dude, I'm not sold on Dante Moore. We saw what he was at. I mean, he got benched at UCLA.
He sure did.
And didn't start last year. They had to bring in a transfer in Dylan Gabriel. So it was just like to me when it's someone's turn, possibly someone's turn, and they bring in a transfer. It's just actually wait, no. I backtrack. They were brought in at the same time. They were.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
transferred it. So never mind on that. I backtrack. But dude, I'm just going based off on UC his time at UCLA. He didn't do much. He didn't
Sure.
look that good. And again,
It's
there you got to look at he from Detroit, Michigan, and just the talent differentiation between Georgia, Alabama, and all other states. There's a big gap. So
yeah.
it's not like he played against top talent in the state of Michigan, but also Dan Lanning. It seemed like he had all the talent in the world last year. Laid an egg when it really mattered, and I just think I mean, they don't have that same talent, and to
Yeah.
me, they're a pretender.
I'll give you a little bit of pushback on Dante Moore. It's a little hard to judge him because of the talent differential that UCLA offers and that Oregon offers, and the fact that he was a true freshman starting a quarterback at UCLA. He got to be mentored by Dylan Gabriel last year, an elite college quarterback. He's not going to do jack in the pros. We know that. We both know that. But an elite college quarterback for that offense. A lot hinges on Dante Moore. If he can step up,
I mean,
they're a
here's the thing,
contender.
man.
If he
Dylan
can't,
Gabriel was proven. He actually started for the Oklahoma Sooners, and
sure.
it's not like he did terrible.
No, he was freaking amazing for
Yeah,
them.
he was good, but for some reason Oklahoma Sooner fans wanted him gone because they thought, Jackson Arnold was the next best thing. We all know where Jackson Arnold is, but not to get off as a
Right.
side tangent. Yeah, Oregon Ducks, I think they lose to they're I think they're gonna lose in Happy Valley.
I, I do
They're
too.
in the whiteout, dude. I think that's you can count that as a definite loss.
Ooh, mark it in your calendars. So you got them as a pretender. I'm going to keep them as a contender for now, but the caveat, like I mentioned, is if Dylan Gabriel sucks or if Dante Moore sucks, they're definitely sliding that pretender category. Now, defensively, with Mateo and all that crew, they should be all right. Their defensive line is pretty good. Their secondary is not though. Their secondary is not, and so yeah, I'll put them in. I'll leave them contender now. But you got them in pretender, and the only other contender I've got is Ohio State. Man, I think everybody else either falls into that pretender or bottom dweller or middle of the conference irrelevant team. I think obviously Ohio State is who I'm talking about. The Buckeyes bring back,
I,
of course, the two best players in the nation, Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. But much like Oregon, very much dependent on what Julian Sand can bring to the Ohio State passing attack.
yeah. I mean, dude, I don't understand all the hate on the Buckeyes, man. They reload every single year. They haven't lost more than 2 games for quite some time now. I'm pretty sure the last time they did that was the when Luke Fickle ended up being the interim coach when that unfortunate incident happened in Ohio State with
Yep,
Tattoo Gate. But other than that, I mean, they have two of the best players in all of college football. Jeremiah Smith on the offensive side, Caleb Downs on the defensive side. I like what they have in the secondary. Sonny
absolutely.
Styles could be a linebacker. It seems like Arvel Reese is going to be starting as well. And then
Certainly.
we touched upon the defensive line. Looking big things for Canada Jackson Jr. I'm not even worried about the offensive side of the ball, man. I think Julian Sand has a chance to be special, but again, this team will go as far as he does. So,
You're certainly right. And anybody that's doubting Ohio State's offense hasn't paid attention to what Ryan Day's done at Ohio State. Even in 2023, our worst offensive year under Ryan Day as head coach in his 6 years as coach, we still led the conference in yards, points, every single offensive statistical category. So the offensive side of the ball should never be worried about under Ryan Day. especially at the quarterback position. Now, defensively, it's kind of been a roller coaster at times, but
Yeah, well, and
with
you know what? You know, it depends. Is Matt Patricia gonna have those growing pains at beginning of the season? The to me, the eye test will be how they do in this first game against Texas.
certainly,
If they
certainly,
lose by like 3, 7 points, it was a competitive game. If they get
hmm
blown out, you know, it's back to the drawing board. And if they win, well, you know what? So much for that step back everybody was talking about.
and even if things don't go well for Ohio State in that Texas game, that's
Oh
game one.
man.
They're going to be a very different team by game
Dude,
12.
dude, I don't want them to lose by any more than 7 to 10 points.
I'm,
Any more than that, dude, we won't hear the end of it. It will be that Ohio State is going in the wrong direction, program in shambles. It will be the same
well, I
talking
mean, that's the
points.
Michigan narrative. We're ranked number 3 for a reason, bro.
I'm just
We're
saying, man.
we're getting disrespected from the Michigan fan base. We're not
It
getting
it
disrespect from the national scale.
it will be good for the program if this game is competitive. To me, that is measuring how the season could possibly go. Because to me, like if they play competitive with Texas, win or lose, I'll feel good about how the season's going to go, seeing that this is the first game.
hmm Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I mean, obviously, if they get thrashed at home in the horseshoe, that would be cause for concern for sure. But I mean, like I said, I mean, we'll be a very different team by game 12 than we were in game one.
And here's
Although
the
it
other
would be embarrassing to lose at home
yeah
in the opener.
here's the other thing. I heard that Ryan Day chewed out Brian Hartline for poor play calling. So is Brian Hartline ready to take over this offense? Only time
Well,
will tell, dude.
we're gonna have some answers to that real soon. How about the pretenders category, man? Who would you slot in there? Now I've got a couple teams in there. Now I want to start off with Illinois, man. I mean, the Illini bring back 16 starters, but here's the thing: everybody is buying their hype. Everybody is buying their sauce. They're buying into what Illinois and Brett Bielema are doing, and I was for a time as well in this offseason. But here's the thing: even in Wisconsin, at his peak of power, Brett Bielema never, ever, not even once, put back-to-back 10-win seasons together. And we think he's going to do that at Illinois? At Illinois, of all programs? I'm skeptical now. And it's this. Now, they do have returning quarterback in Luke Altmaier, but they lost their explosive wide receiver to the NFL. They have no explosiveness at that position, and they lost their starting tailback to the transfer portal as well from last season. And so when I watched them last year, they were very efficient running the football down people's throats, but they had no explosiveness whatsoever to that team. And so I question them. I put them in the pretender category. And obviously, since you didn't talk about them as a contender, that kind of answers my question as well as to where you slot them. Who else you got in that pretender category? Unless you want to talk about Illinois as well.
You know, I'd say I have Indiana.
The
Yes.
Hoosiers.
Yeah, the Hoosiers. Yes, Kirk Signetti turned their program around, but you know, it's just not quite ready to play with the big dogs yet in the conference. And that showed against Ohio State or just the big dogs in general. Got in the playoffs
Sure.
and they got dog walked by Notre Dame. Now, yes, it is impressive that
Yeah.
how he turned the program around, but it was against a bunch of, I guess, nobodies.
Well, they didn't have a top 25 win last year.
No, they didn't. And Kurt Signetti had their out of conference schedule just they removed some teams that could possibly be actual competition.
Yep.
So I
It's
mean,
disappointing. How big do you think the slide will be here in year two for Signetti? Where do you slot them at record wise? Just ballpark.
man,
I've got
God,
them around 8-4. Like I don't have them sliding back that much. I think they will still be very good. They brought in a not very good. They will be good. They brought in another transfer quarterback who is incredible, Mendoza, and
yeah.
I expect they'll be around the eight win range.
I think they lose to Illinois. I think
I
they
could see it.
lose to Oregon. I
Definitely
think they lose to Penn State.
given.
And man, the other one's a toss up. The other one would be a toss up between Iowa.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, no, just Iowa do, but I think they'll lose to Illinois, Oregon, and Penn State.
Yeah, I like I said, I think that's a good prediction. That's a good shot, and I think that's about where I'd have him too. Another school I wanted to talk about, you just mentioned, was the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, I think they will be improved from last year, but they're still a pretender because we got as we look at Kirk Ferentz's freaking near 30-year career now. Every 4 or 5 years, they come up and take a shot at the Big Ten championship and are in that race in November. Sometimes reaching the game, other times falling just short, beating Penn State, beating a Michigan in 2016. They're every 4 to 5 years under Ferentz's reign, they're right there, and it's about time for that rise up again. They got another really good quarterback as well, Gronowski, out of the transfer portal, and people are very very high on him. And I'm not slotting them in as a contender. They're still a pretender, but I think they're going to jump up and have a say in this race. They're going to beat somebody this year that they shouldn't beat.
Yeah, I have USC as a
Okay.
pretender. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, just all Lincoln Riley, just all the hype. Look at the recruiting classes, and just like I think Lincoln Riley's in over his head. I mean, if you couldn't win with Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison and just they had a I mean Zachariah Branch, and
Yeah.
he had kept Alex Cringe for way too long. And
I never understood that higher.
I'm not buying into this, getting all these top recruiting classes because that doesn't always necessarily translate to wins. We saw what happened with Texas A&M. We've seen what's happened with Miami and the Florida Gators, and it's
Yeah.
just I think the same thing is going to happen with Lincoln Riley. And you know what? If it wasn't for his massive, what is it, like $80 million buyout? If
Seriously.
it wasn't for
Yeah.
his
About
massive
80.
contract, he'd be canned. But just man, just looking at their schedule. Let me pull it up real quick.
Sure.
I
Sure.
I think that I'm looking at this right now, and I think they'll lose to Illinois, Notre
See
Dame.
that?
I think they lose.
Definitely losing.
I think they lose to Nebraska.
Ooh.
I think they lose to Oregon, and there's a good chance they lose to Michigan. So, man, they got a pretty tough schedule, man.
Well, they got a tough schedule and they got to travel a lot being a West Coast team. And here's the thing, man. Lincoln Riley has shown us who he is. He does not care about defense, no matter how much he preaches about it in the offseason, no matter how many defensive coordinators he hires in the offseason and preaching this and preaching that. Until I see it on the field, man, I'm not going to believe it. It's not going to happen. And
You
so
know,
they're not going to be in this race at all. They're a complete pretender.
if you think he'd look at the stat sheet of the last three national championship games and see what
Sure.
actually got those teams there and won those games, be like, hey, maybe I need to duplicate that, but no, I
I
guess
don't
not.
understand how it can't get through his head, man. It was his failure and the downfall of Oklahoma, and it's continued to be his downfall here. And it's like he continues to beat his head against the wall and refuses to learn. I don't get it.
Yeah, some people are just, they don't have any rhyme or reason. They're just madmen. They're mad scientists or whatever you want to call them. But it's just like defense wins championships.
Yeah, the
That
old adage is true.
defense gets them there in the first place. So
You got to learn, bro. This is a defensive-minded conference now. Things have started to shift in that realm, but it is still a defensive first conference.
yeah,
How about
someone needs to show him that 2022 Pac-12 championship game where they just couldn't
Utah?
wrap and tackle and they just got completely embarrassed.
Yeah, buddy. No, you're definitely spot on that one. How about staying on the West Coast, man? I think a team that takes a jump into the middle of the pack type of team is the Washington Huskies. They got Damon Williams, a phenom at quarterback. Jed Fish is recruiting well. It's a wealthy recruiting area, as we've known as Buckeyes. We pulled from there many times over the last couple of years. I think the Washington Huskies make a nice jump into the still a pretender category, not a contender, but into that 8-9 win range this year. I think they make a leap under Jed Fish in year two.
Yeah, man, just looking at let me see here. Man, they
Williams
got
is
to
the
travel to the big house this year.
yeah.
They play
That's gonna be
Illinois at
tough.
home. They play Oregon at home. They play Ohio. Man, they got a really favorable schedule. I mean, three of their toughest games, possibly toughest games, they have at home: Ohio State,
Exactly, bro.
Illinois, and Washington. So, but
That's a definite trap game for Ohio State. As Big Ten teams last year were 1-8 when they had to travel cross country to play their Big Ten foes. And
I mean, but dude, look at their schedule last year. They got crushed by Iowa,
they got smashed a
Indiana.
lot.
They got smashed by Penn State and Oregon,
Yeah,
and
these weren't close games.
they uh they barely beat. No, they actually lost to Rutgers.
They lost to Rutgers and that was one of the cross
They
conference game or
they
cross
watched
country
they
trip.
yeah, they lost to Washington State as well at
Yeah, the
home.
Cougs. Yeah, the Cougs.
So we'll see what happens, man. I mean,
I
you got
did.
to look. They're more than likely still in rebuilding mode. Remember last season around this time we made a video about who's returning the most production, and they
Yeah.
were returning the least production in the whole in all of college football, and even obviously the Big Ten. So we'll see if they're still in rebuild mode. But my
Yeah.
guess, I think they're going to be in the middle in terms of
Like 6 or 7 wins.
I I'd say that maybe
Okay,
maybe
no, that's
maybe
fair. I
maybe
might be
they
a year early.
maybe they sneak an eighth year in. I mean,
I,
an eighth win in.
right? I might be a year early on that, bro. Like, I mean, I need to study their roster a little bit more, but I'm really impressed with their quarterback, Damon Williams. He's just a stud of a recruit, and I'm excited to see the Huskies play football this year. And I think they might give Oregon a run for their money in Husky Stadium there at the end of the year on rivalry weekend. The last team that I have in this category is the Michigan Wolverines, man. I think they're a complete pretender this year. I think they're going to land right around where they did last year in terms of wins, 8-9 range. I don't see them eclipsing that, except that their schedule is so easy. Now, earlier in the offseason, I predicted a 10-2 finish, and I still could see that. But I have them as a pretender with a first-year quarterback, Bryce Underwood,
Hey,
a
don't count
very
on
poor wide receiving core.
they have a chance to there's a chance that they lose to Nebraska. It's at Nebraska. It's
That's a
year
very high
two
chance.
of Dylan Rayola. We'll see. You know what? There's talks. I mean, there's not talks. They're really deep at the D line position. I'm not gonna
Extremely.
extremely deep, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna be like really talented, like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and Josiah
Sure.
Stewart talented. I mean, those were all
Right.
first rounders, mid second. But we'll see. But we're
Yeah.
looking at Oklahoma week 2, at Nebraska. They host the Washington Huskies. They travel to USC, And of course, they have Ohio State in the big house, which Michigan fans are already calling their shot about 5 in a row.
Sure.
I mean, they have every right to say that. So, but I don't know,
They
man.
do.
It's seeing how weak this schedule is.
Yeah.
Because you
They
know what, I'm just throwing games out there that could possibly be tough games. I mean, I mean, you
there's
already
only
know that
about four on there.
Ohio State, Michigan is going to be a tough game, but I don't know if
Yeah.
traveling to Nebraska is going to be a tough game or traveling to Oklahoma. We don't know how good Oklahoma is going to be. They could be trash again. So
The schedule is really favorable, and I will give them some praise a little bit. I think Wink Martindale clearly figured something out at the towards the end of the season, man. I think although they lost a lot of talent with Johnson and Graham and Grant leaving, like you said, the D line's going to be good with Rayshon Benning, Derek Moore, Deshaun Barham returns. I still have some questions about their secondary, even though they locked us up. Um, a
here's
lot of new faces there.
here's what Wink Martindale realized. He realized that he had one of the best D lines in college football. That's what he realized. So
Yeah, he adjusted to his talent and what the talent was on the team, and I tip my hat to him, man, because and here's the thing, man, they're going to be. This is an often overlooked aspect of college football, but special teams has been elite for the Wolverines for years on end now, and it's won them a lot of games. You really, really can win football games with elite special teams and very good defense and a good running game. They've proven it. Illinois has proven it. Other programs have proven it. And I think that's honestly special teams was a big reason why Ohio State lost to Michigan last year. Not just kicking field goals, but punting. It's been a problem for the Buckeyes. But the Wolverines are good in those categories. And so I think, a defense can keep you in a lot of games that you shouldn't be in. All you have to do is look at last year, bro. They had the 130th best passing offense, and they were in almost every game except Texas and Oregon.
yeah.
So I don't like talking good about them, but clearly they're still a pretender. They're not a contender in Bryce Underwood year one. Um, how about the basement dwellers, man? Who do you think brings up the rear end, the bottom of the Big Ten Conference
uh,
this year? What are the teams that are just going to be 0-9, 1-8 in conference this year?
I'd say Wisconsin. They have a really tough schedule.
Wow.
I'd
Yeah, they
say
do. They do.
I'd say Purdue. I'd say Northwestern. I'd say UCLA.
Yes.
Um, who
You
else,
hit the
man?
teams that I was going to go with. Those are the
Yeah.
what if
Just I can't
people
put
are
Rutgers has been respectable, dude.
without
I
question,
can't
without
I can't
question.
really put them there.
Purdue, I'm really curious to see. I do have them as a bottom dweller. They did bring in 54 transfers this year. They're trying the Kurt Signetti method. That was
Yeah,
the worst roster, one of the worst rosters in the Power Four conferences last year. So thank goodness they just overturned that roster. But they're trying to do what the Hoosiers did last year and flip it in year one under a brand new head coach. They got a long way to go still,
they
bro.
also brought in that one Georgia wide receiver who
They did it.
was named Turbo.
Yeah, Turbo. Yep.
Yep.
Um, I think the Wildcats being a homeless team still does not help them at all in recruiting. They're gonna move into a new stadium in a couple years, and they're still gonna be absolutely pathetic because what they're bringing in right now is atrocious for Big Ten football standards, anyway. And I think the Wildcats bring up the rear, and then of course the Bruins. Even with Nico, bro, even with Nico,
I'm
they have no talent on that roster.
I'm borderline on Michigan State, dude.
I was gonna ask about
They
that. I
could,
really was.
man.
That was on my mind.
But dude, they I mean, dude, we'll see how good Aiden Childs is year two because he has his, really good deep threat in Nick
Nick
Marsh.
Marsh. Yep.
So,
Yep.
we'll see what and this is
There.
John's what was his name? John Smith.
Yeah, John Smith. Yep. His
Yeah,
second year.
it's his second year, but dude, we're just the way that he got the program, just the condition it was in, dude. I mean, D'Antonio left it in
Tough rebuild.
tough rebound, and then that whole thing with Mel Tucker, and then they just you lose your best wide receiver and
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, and
Yep.
then your best cornerback transfers to your rival school,
Sure.
and
And
it's
they
just
lost their best defensive lineman from last year as well to the transfer portal.
yeah. So
I'm
it's
not very
just
high on them.
it's not. You know what? They're border. They could end up bottom dwellers. They
I,
could.
I don't. I can see it. I don't have them slipping that far. As I've done a little research on MSU, in Jonathan Smith year two, everywhere he's been, they seem to take a leap. A small leap. It's not a big leap forward, but they take a leap forward and they beat somebody that they shouldn't. When he was at Oregon State, it was Dan Lanning in Oregon. They knocked him off, and I'm curious if they can do that this year in year
What
two
if
because
they
it's happened at
finally?
every stop he's
Hey,
been at.
hear me out, dude. What if they finally get it done against Michigan?
I mean, they were
It's
only
it's
7 points away last year at the
it's
Big
in East
House.
Lansing. It's in East Lansing. So
Exactly. I have them improving to the 6-6, 7-5 range, and beating somebody. I don't have them in the basement. This honestly, this team reminds me a lot of the early to mid 2000s Spartan teams we used to see. Remember, they used to have like really good quarterbacks like Drew Stanton and some other guys, and a couple of very good wide receivers and some good tailbacks. Like they have spotty talent like around the roster, but it's just not a complete roster. It's not.
no
It's not
man.
ready to compete for anything. So I have them being a middle of the pack Big Ten team. But transitioning to like individual stuff now, man. What do you think? We'll start with this. What do you think the quarterback of the year is going to be? Is it going to be Allar, Rayola, Sayan, Altmaier, anybody else that might Damon Williams? Anybody else that might jump into that
Man,
category?
I think it's going to be between Altmaier, Aller, and Julian saying you always got to put Ohio State quarterback in there until they show you otherwise, man. They just, especially the
Yeah,
weapons that they have, but Luke Altmaier balled out last season. We'll see what he
he
does
did.
against. I mean, his best weapon from last year has gone off the NFL, and of
Yeah,
course, we'll see if Drew Aller is ready to step up for the
we're gonna
occasion
find
and
out.
finally lead his team. So they won't have to fully rely on Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. So
We're gonna see if he can be clutch, man. Like if you didn't watch the games and you just looked at Drew Allar's stats, you'd be like, wow, this dude is a baller. But watching the tape and watching these big time contests like we have over the past 2 seasons with Allar, the proof's in the pudding, man. He's got to step up in these big games. He seems to shy away. Now he's got some more weapons to work with. We're going to see if he has that clutch factor, that it factor, or if he's just never going to put it together like the majority of Penn State quarterbacks this century.
I just thought about something. You know how bad this video would look if tomorrow Lincoln Keenholz is named the starting quarterback for Ohio State. But I highly
Yeah.
doubt that's going to happen.
Right.
I've touched upon that. I talked about it. I talked about it on Ohio State Voice of College Football.
Sure.
So that's why I'm saying Julian saying I just think it's been for me. The eye test was the spring game, and I
Yeah.
mean if he was better than Keenholz in that game, and he has time to progress even more into fall, and from fall all the way in the regular season, I just think the job is his.
Sure. And obviously he was our QB2 last year. We didn't put our QB2 in very much, as we don't at Ohio State, but he was the one that stepped on the field, not Keenholz, and I think that holds weight. What about Rayola, man? We mentioned him when we first brought this topic up, but I feel like he's in the same kind of position Allar was in last year. He has no weapons to throw to still.
Yeah, it's just we'll see how it is year two, man. Uh, I don't think he has many weapons, but we'll see. You got to remember, he was a highly touted recruit. Let's see
And
he lives up to the hype.
honestly, he did well for the lack of weapons they had. And obviously, as you know, Matt Rule's a good coach. So I'm expecting him to take a step forward. I just am a little weary of that
Yeah,
because
so
of their
last
offensive weapons. I like
yeah,
their
so
offense.
here was his stats. 2,819 yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and a
Mm-hmm.
63.8 QBR.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just
I mean,
man.
yardage wise is good, but everything else
He
not
he
great, right?
he almost had more interceptions than touchdowns, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. They
He
were almost
that's
even there.
that's
And
in a position where you don't want to be. But here's the thing, man. It could be one of those things where, okay, like he's a freshman. It's the whole growing pains thing, dude. We got to get him.
yeah.
Let's start him. He'll make mistakes, but at the end of the day, he'll be better uh, going into the next season. So it could that could pay off. I mean, we're more than likely going to see with Bryce Underwood this year, unless Bryce Underwood comes out looking like Trevor Lawrence. So
Well, and to your point, man, a lot of quarterbacks take a leap in year two as a starter. And so I'm very curious to see what the Huskers are going to look like this year. And I'm very thankful they catch Michigan at home and early in the first Big Ten conference game of the year. I'll go with just to make a selection and kind of nail it down. I will go with Drew Eller as probably the Big Ten quarterback of the year. I think those three additions of the wideout and obviously a tight end who's going to be effective. I think he does put it together this year. I'm confident that he does. But we're going to find out because not many quarterbacks under Franklin have, right? How about player of the year, bro? What do you think about
Jeremiah
that,
Smith,
man?
Jeremiah Smith,
I mean, like conversation over, right?
yeah,
I
conversation
agree.
over. Like the dude's 220, moves like I mean, just I mean the dude was clock I think what 20, 22 miles per hour,
Sure.
something like
Yeah.
that.
It
Moving
was
like
right
that
around
at
22.1 or something like that.
yeah, moving around like that at 220 pounds of just bulked up muscle. I mean, the dude is Megatron, Julio Jones, and AJ Green all in
Come
one,
on, bro.
dude. Just
That's the comp.
insane, dude.
He's
And
going
to
to be fun
think,
to watch.
just imagine him his junior year. I mean, I'm gonna
I
enjoy.
want to.
You know what, dude? This is a player who you just need to enjoy in the moment because before you know it, he's gonna move on to bigger and better things. That's
It
gonna
better
be
not be at Dallas in the
the
NFL.
the
I'll be
number one
all
overall
riot.
pick in the NFL draft, dude. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna go number one overall.
I don't want to put this bad juju out there, but I'm going to say it anyway, man. We've had so many wide receivers over the last decade get injured, and I'm so nervous about that happening to our beloved Jeremiah Smith. Not that we don't have the talent to replenish him, but he is
You
a
just had to
unique and
bring that up.
special talent.
You just had to bring that up, man.
Well, it's got to be brought up because I mean it's happened so frequently at Ohio State. Like every other year, our superstar wide receiver goes down. Hopefully, that's not the case for Jeremiah this year. How do you think he plays? This isn't a Big Ten, a conference shot, but Texas shut him down last year, man. One catch, 3 yards. It allowed others to eat. How do you think he performs in game one?
Man, you know what? He seems really hungry this season. He said he really paid attention to all the noise that involved those games. Like, oh, he did nothing against Michigan, he did nothing
Sure.
against Texas. So I think he's gonna
Oh,
come out with a chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna prove a lot of people
he's
wrong.
going to eat,
But
right?
yeah,
What do you
I
think
think he's gonna
about
eat.
What do you think about the criticism, man? I keep seeing online, oh, he's an offensive pass interference merchant. That's why this and that, and that's why he's open all the time. That really pisses me off, bro.
Dude, he's
That's
just
such a moronic take.
he's so strong and explosive that that's just what it looks like. Doesn't mean it
Yep.
is, but it's just like, dude, he's so quick, he's so elusive, and has such good technique with his hands as well. Very
Yeah.
physical. That's just that's up to interpretation. And of course, he got that one call against Oregon, but I don't think he got a call the rest of the year. I think that was his only offensive pass interference.
That was it. And that's the stupid argument that people bring up because Oh, he just never gets called. He gets away with everything and blah 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 blah
No,
blah.
man, he
It's
just
like,
that
bro,
good.
his route running is that elite. He's that physical. He's that fluid in and out of his routes that he separates. I mean, do you remember the catch in triple coverage versus the Ducks in the Rose Bowl? Like, my jaw dropped. I mean, there were multiple catches like that, of course, last year, but that was the catch to me, in my opinion,
Yeah, I
of the
mean,
year.
dude, like that was just insane. He leapt over like three defenders, and he just he just
I stood
give me
up, bro, and
that.
shouted.
I mean, dude, I knew like, okay, dude, this dude's gonna cook all game when I saw that.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, and then, dude, I went crazy when Will Howard just launched the ball and he was literally like down wide open in the right part of the right corner of the end zone.
My goodness, bro. This is a phenomenal play to watch. I can't wait to watch more Jeremiah Smith this year. Now, circling back to what we were talking about the beginning of the video, we got the contenders. Who do you have reaching the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis? Last year was Oregon Penn State. Obviously, Oregon winning, victorious. Clearly, you don't have the Ducks making a bag. So who do you got?
Dude, this is a tough one, man. You know, it's just I feel like I'm gonna give it to Penn State as being just the automatic.
Slot it in there.
But that second one, I'm just it's still up in the air. I mean, for all we know, dude, Michigan could make it, Oregon can make it, Ohio State could make it. You
It's a,
know, maybe Illinois surprises a lot of people and makes it.
they have a potential shot. And here's the thing, man. This is a lot harder to predict than it used to be because now there's 18 teams. There's unbalanced schedules. Like you said, Washington's schedule is a joke this year.
Maybe
Wisconsin's
Washington makes
schedule
it.
is the toughest in the conference. And so it's like, things are so unbalanced now that it's really hard to predict. But I'll just be frank, man. I mean, I know there's a Buckeye channel, but I have Ohio State and Penn State rematching round two. They meet November 1st in Columbus, and round two will be in Indianapolis with
Yeah.
the Big Ten championship on the line. A
Yes,
lot of things could happen, but I'm slating that right now as that's my prediction.
my wife and I, we will be there for the first matchup, the second matchup. If it happens, we'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean,
I don't I don't
we
doubt
won
that.
last season for the Big Ten championship for Penn
Heck yeah, you
State,
did.
Oregon, dude. I mean, man, it was a good time.
That was a fun game to watch, bro. No doubt.
Yeah, definitely,
Um,
definitely.
who do you think would come out victorious in that rematch? Obviously, there's a long way to go, a lot to play out. But who do you think
Well,
is crowned the Big Ten champion this year?
I think it's Penn State's year to win the Big Ten.
You think Penn State's gonna bring it
Yeah,
home
I do.
for the first
Yeah,
time in
since
since
2016.
2016? Since
Yep.
2016. All right, he's making a claim. He's putting a stake in the ground. I'm going Homer pick, man. I think Ohio State wins it, man. I
And
think
honestly, dude, I don't care about the Big Ten championship.
yeah,
I
I
think it's pointless.
I
I
don't
think
care.
it's
Yeah,
just a like just a consolation prize. It doesn't get you anything. Look what it got Oregon. So
yeah,
get
sure.
rid of conference championship games. Start the playoffs when conference championship weekend would happen. That's
That's what should be. There in that scenario, however, there'd be a lot of we'd be going back to the co-championship model. Are you cool with that? Or it sounds like you are.
I'm talking like
Like three
whoever.
champions, like you know,
Wait, three champions in the.
like in 2004, there were three champions in the Big Ten, and
I don't
in
know, man. Dude,
in other years, there's been several co-split championship. In our in our 2002 championship year, because we didn't play Iowa, Iowa was co-Big Ten champion that year.
I mean, I guess, dude. I really don't care.
Yeah, it's
I just think whoever has the best records, and this is another conversation. I just think whoever has the
sure.
best records coming out of the coming out of their conferences They should be the ones who are awarded the potential home field advantage.
Yeah. Well,
But I don't want to get off a side tangent. That's a different conversation. So
sure thing. Sure thing. Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that later on in the season. But man, it's been a fun one. There's a lot to go down. We are 17 days away from the season kicking off, or maybe even less than that now. And I'm excited, man. Ohio State, Texas is going to square off, but the Big Ten season and college football are almost back, bro. The wait is almost over. The longest wait in all of sports in the off season is almost over.
yeah, man, it's dude. First matchup, August 23rd, Kansas State, Iowa State, a top
Week
20 matchup. So
tune in for week 0. We're crazies, man.
isn't it where's the game gonna be at?
I'm not. I think that is an overseas game. I think that's
Yeah,
in
it's
Ireland. I think it's in Dublin, but I'm not
yep.
sure.
Yeah, man.
But it's gonna be fun, man. But yeah, man. That's what we got for tonight. Go Bucks and God bless. We will see you on the next one.
OH.
I